At Seabird Island in the wintertime, we trapped, my brother and me trapped. We lived off the slough there was fish just about year-round. Mum had 3 milk cows, so we had milk. And we really didn't have to come to town that much, because when we did go to town, we walked when we were kids or rode our bikes. And then after the war and whatnot, then things started to pick up. But starting on the flood of 48, that was the next big crisis we run into. When we were at school, we were all taken down to the foot of the mountain road because they needed kids for sandbagging. And we're down at the pump house at the foot of the mountain road. We were there for a couple of days. We ended up losing ground. You couldn't stay ahead of the water, was coming too fast. So they finally pulled us out of there, and Ernie Olson came. He was a foreman and said, "You got to get out of here, it's broke through." So Reuben Hogg gave us a ride back to Agassiz, but I had left my bike on Limbert Road because we went there on our own. We had to get down there, so my bike ended up on Muirhead's milk stand through the flood. And then walking, it would be in front of Sylvia Pranger's old place right off Pioneer. There's a culvert goes under the railway there, and we didn't really realize anything was wrong until the water was about 3 feet higher on the riverside than the upper side of the railway, and it was boiling through that culvert and digging just a great big trench, but it was shooting in the air. It was unreal to see. So we kind of hurried across the railway track because it looked like it was going to blow out, which it did after. And then on our way home, there was no water in Agassiz yet in the streets. But as I went home, we went up the track, of course. That's how we used to go. It's the shortest way. All the dips were full, and when you look over at Trammer Road now, you could see that was starting to be a lake. And then I went on the Seabird Road. There was no Hague Road then. It was just a railway track, went to Hague without the Hague Road. So I went up Seabird Road or Walleach Road, and then it was fine. It was high ground there, like we had always been told by old Harry Joseph, the chief, and Jimmy Andrews, the old people from Seabird. You never had to worry up here in the flood because in '94 they were high and dry. So other than the dips and the slough, it was fine. So anyway, as I made my way home, we had to wade through the dips. They were full of water, but it was clean water, it didn't matter. So then when we got home, our bridge, which there were wood bridges, there were 3 wood bridges on Mariah Slough, and bridge that's right at right where you go into their school and everything. There was a bridge across there. You can still see the piling in. When the low water, you can still see where it went. And then that's where Clearwater Slough starts, the slough that runs along towards the bridge. The water was still lower than it, so it was still going. And Chaplin Bridge, where you go by Chaplin Road, it was still good. But when we got to our place, the end of our bridge was floating. It reminded you of a wharf because the one end was tied to the road, but the other end were about 3 feet above our driveway. And then, but that really, it had done that before. We waded home, and I had a canoe there anyway, a little canoe, and we just ended up using it. And then my dad was working at Hilltop Logging, which is by Hicks Lake. It's the old, where the park is now. So he came home that night, and he came from the camp through Hicks Lake down the trail and came home, and he got the team of horses we had and the 3 cows, and the cows were pretty grim getting them on the bridge, so we had to swim them over to the bank, and they got up on the bank. But the horses, they made the lunge from the ground or water up to the end of the bridge, which was pretty good, and he had harness on them and everything. We walked everything. Then they made us, they got the order from Agassiz, from Red Cross, I think, you had to move up to Camp Road. And as the old native told us, you're nuts, you don't have to go there, you're not going to get wet where you are. Anyway, we had 12 feet at the highest water of Freeboard. But anyway, we went up there, and there was a bunch of natives up there they had, and then we basically moved up there during the flood. A few things happened, like we got boats from Harrison Hot Springs, clinker-built putt-putts, that's what we called them. They had the little brigs in them. There was 3 of them up there. We had them to use, and I had my canoe, and there were 3 native families. They had canoes, so we really, it was good going. It was good going